If you hold no punches back.
Hello, Mark. Mr. Pope, 1996.
Oh, my gosh. What? Hey, let's give it up right here. This is my guy. Yes. I'm so happy to see you.
Hey, gratitude is a skill, guys. But if you practice, it will give you a joyful life regardless of your circumstances.
Allen on the move, now flips it to Davis. He's got some space. Davis for the pylon, dives, touchdown. Bills score to open the second half as they did the first.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Cutler, honored and pleased to be with you. Thank you so much for joining me, whether it's live now in Central Kentucky or in Louisville, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, wherever. Thank you, or listening on a podcast tonight or tomorrow morning, as I know there are some people that work out and listen to me in the morning. Hope I don't aggravate anybody working out, Jimmy. I'm laughing for a couple of reasons. I find this rather humorous. I really do. It's become popular for many, many, many years. And I don't know who started it, but I mean a long time, that if there's a job that is open, boom, a local reporter, or now oftentimes a national reporter, will put together a list of people that possibly could get the job. So I don't know who Amber Marie is of 24/7 Sports, but she believes that Mark Stoops is a contender for the Virginia Tech job. I'm not going to spend my day and night trying to find out if this is true or not. The only thing I might want to communicate, the absurdity of this report. And I've complained about these things before. And if Stoops becomes the Virginia Tech coach, I'm not suggesting it, I'm not saying it, then she can take some credit. I fail to believe that in a list of 8 names to watch, as she says in Blacksburg, James Franklin, Shane Beamer, Dan Mullen, Manny Diaz, Alex Golsh, I think I'm pronouncing that correct, he's a rising star, Ryan Silverfield, and yes, John Summerall. I don't think there's going to be a job out there that's deemed better than Tulane that John Summerall's name won't be linked to. I would bet Jimmy's paycheck, I'm very free with your money, aren't I, Jimmy, that
yes,
at least 75% of these people will not have a serious conversation. Now, do I believe that the Virginia Tech people, or let's say an agent for Virginia Tech or somebody that has something to do with the job search, probably call all these agents? Yeah, I could see that, because you never know who says yes. But just because a phone call will probably be made, that has nothing to do with the seriousness of any potential opening. I find it laughable. I really do. So I'm doing what others, I'm sure, will do, that they will give life to the story. I think you have to. I'm not giving life to the validity of it. I'm not ripping Amber Marie. I don't know who she is, but I've never liked these things at all. Do I think Dan Mullen will have another job next year? Yeah, he's undefeated at Vegas. His salary is reasonable, 3.5. I saw what his buyout is. I don't know what it is, but it wasn't that ridiculous. Shane Beamer, following his dad, I don't think he wanted to do it initially, but suppose South Carolina falls apart, which they could do. I'm not predicting it. I have nothing against Beamer. I know a lot of Kentucky fans don't like him, but if they fall apart, could he end up there? Yeah. James Franklin, you would think it's a long shot, but he's got to look for a job to get all his money. That's a clause in some contracts. Everybody's contract is different. And so if he can't find a job, it'll be deemed like, did you really try? Could this kind of thing go to court? It could. It could. Don't know. They owe him a lot of money, like $49 million. Manny Diaz, I could see his name being out there. Alex Golsh. I don't know. Ryan Silverfield, he might be able to get a better job, and John Summerall. I find it humorous. The other thing that's interesting, and Jimmy, I bet you agree with me, not 5%, but 100%. There's no doubt in my mind that Cal taking the job at Arkansas, this is not breaking news, and this is not revolutionary on my part. He absolutely unequivocally saved Mitch from a bad contract. And I got to tell you, if Mark Stoops, let's say, would go to Virginia Tech, Mitch Barnhart is the luckiest AD on the face of the earth getting out of 2 contracts. Now, I don't know the particular Stoops contract. Let's just play a game. He goes to Virginia Tech. He's not going to make $9 million a year, but suppose he makes $5 million, and then Kentucky only owes $4 million a year over the life of the term if the contract of Virginia Tech is equal to the contract of Kentucky. You get that? So if they end up paying $4 million a year till the contract is up, Kentucky got off cheap. They got off cheap. Jimmy, what do you think? I think this is a bogus story that might end up being right, that I do not believe when it said names to watch. I could probably add a few more names. How come the Western Kentucky coach, who's really good, hasn't had his name on these lists? I'm serious. I'm serious as a heart attack. And here's my theory on this. I'm going to be fascinating. I mean, really fascinated on how these contracts, if they change. If they keep on paying the big dollars with the big buyouts, that if you can't learn from mistakes, I don't know. Jimmy, what do you think about a school? Let's say you're Virginia Tech, and it's too important for schools in general to have this desire to win the press conference. Whereas that's nice. I want a coach who's going to win. And so if I lose the press conference, but you hire a person who does a really good job, who gives a crap? I've never understood why ADs and school presidents and schools in general are so uptight about that. I mean, it'd be nice to win the press conference. Oh, gosh, look who the coach is. That's great. But you hire one of those guys and they stink. What the hell did you do? To be afraid to hire someone, and I think the word afraid is proper. To be afraid to hire someone who might be the right coach but doesn't win the press conference is stupid. It's stupid if you do it that way. How about this? I've always wondered this. How many athletics directors really thought that they hired the person they needed to hire versus the person they wanted to hire? Or they really wanted to hire somebody else, but the board wouldn't allow it? Or they really wanted to hire somebody else, but the president wouldn't allow it? I got to believe that happens. Look, Kentucky's not unusual. There have been times during coaching searches that goes back decades and decades. And I have to sit down and put a list together, but there have been a number of coaches who didn't get a job because they were eliminated behind closed doors. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just telling you it happened. And that's not unusual. And it's happened all over the place. I'm not ripping anybody for it. But I got to tell you, if you take a look at it, by the way, the women come in at number 24 in the first AP poll. Interesting. I actually think the women aren't getting enough respect. I really do. Like I said yesterday, I'm going to go off on a tangent for a second. Clara Strack being second team. And I don't know enough about all the ladies on the first team. So I have to be honest about it. But look what she did last year. Look at the shots she blocked, her defense. I wonder how many centers in the SEC can dribble the ball like she can. It's baffling. It's absolutely baffling. I wonder if Clara Strack played for LSU, that she'd be first team. I wonder if she played for South Carolina, would she be first team? Am I ripping Kentucky? No. Do I think Kentucky's getting enough respect? No. Jimmy, I don't do a great job of typing. Do you still say typing and talking? I have to get better at that. All right, I just wanted to say something about, and I looked it up last night, and I'm doing it again just to make sure everything is copacetic. Jimmy, how many people within the sound of our voice, if you're not a Western Kentucky fan, think they know who the Western Kentucky coach is?
Close to 0%.
I would agree with you 100%. So let me just throw this at you. Tyson Helton overall is 48-32. That's nice, but it's not breaking the world. Agree, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Okay. He's an offensive guy. I've watched clips of them. Tons? No. But he's only 5-1 this year and 3-0 in conference play. So here's my theory. By the way, I like his offense. If I remember right, Jimmy, correct me if I'm wrong, they're averaging like 33 points a game this year. I like their plays. I like how they spread the field. In the last 6 years, Jimmy, I know I'm right about this, they've had 2 quarterbacks from Western Kentucky make the NFL. Zappe actually started for a little bit while because of injuries. I think the other quarterback did too. I'm going blank on the name. That's not the point. The point is Western Kentucky has been really good. So here's my theory. I wonder who's going to have the guts. And I looked at his salary, and actually, according to the internet reports, if they're to be believable, and I can, but I was surprised. Jimmy, are you surprised when I tell you that he makes over $900,000 a year to coach Western Kentucky?
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. So my guess, and I was wrong because he's been there a while. My guess was going to be $600,000-$700,000, which can you live on that in Bowling Green? Here's my thing. I wonder who the first team that would be a step up from Western Kentucky, not being disrespectful at all. I wonder who the first team that would be a step up that will offer somebody like this. Jimmy, could you live on $4 million a year?
I don't know. It might be a tough living. Only making 4?
You take sarcastic pills when Columbus Day happens?
Yeah.
So here's my theory, and I guess I'm pushing this because I'd like to see it. And by the way, more power to anybody makes. But the stupidity of the universities, the stupidity of the presidents, the stupidity of the boards, the stupidity of the athletics directors. That's what it is. Oh, I'm afraid we got to give you this buyout. Otherwise, you won't come here. So suppose you offer Tyson Helton, and I'm not saying Kentucky, but a school better than Western. Sorry, Western, not being disrespectful. I'm talking about what's called the step up in football. You offer him $16 to $18 million, and you guarantee 4 years, and you do a 4-year contract. And I've said this forever, and I believe this wholeheartedly when people say, why do you have to keep on extending a coach's contract? Why can't it be year by year? Stop it. If you think that, whether you like it or not, you know anything about football. Now, in the old days, until recently, a lot of players stay for 4 years. Transferring was different. We all know that. I don't have to explain that. But if you don't give a coach 4 years, why would a recruit come to that school? 4-year contract, 1-year guarantee. What are you, nuts? It's going to be tough to recruit. Don't hire somebody and put them in a business where they're probably going to fail or lose a lot of recruits because people recruiting against them. Hey, they just hired this guy, and it's really only a 1-year contract, and there's no really guaranteed after 1 year, and you don't know what's going to happen, and you don't want to go there. Jimmy, if somebody came to you like that as a football player, would that make you go, oh, wait a second, why do I want to go there when you have another school offering you that's maybe on an equal level? As you know, oftentimes kids get recruited by the same level of schools. Not all the time, but more often than not. Would that make you less desirous to go to that particular school?
Yeah, just because the unknown.
Yeah.
It's natural.
You got to give somebody 4 years. You do. I think that there's a fairness issue. Now, if you're listening, you're saying, well, I don't get 4 years in my job. Well, guess what? You know what? Then get a job where you can get 4 years. Get a job where you can get 4 years. Wow. This is interesting. Matt Jones just tweeted this coming from the Herald Leader. Mitch Barnhart says he has confidence in Mark Stoops and says Mark is working hard. Can I promise everything that everybody wants me to promise? No. There is no promise. We can play our hearts out and go have one tough moment that goes against you in a game, and all of a sudden you find yourself with a loss that you didn't want. And that doesn't mean you didn't give effort, you didn't work your way through it, but Mark and his guys are working hard. So there's two schools of thought when it comes to a vote of confidence. Some people think it's a kiss of death. If I'm Mark Stoops, I actually appreciate this. Now, he'll probably downplay it. And I think Mitch is trying to cool things off. But I also stand by what John Cohen said about the Auburn coach. Did you see this, Jimmy? I love this. I love this. John Cohen, former UK baseball coach before your time, and has been an AD at a few stops. He's the Auburn AD on potentially firing head coach Hugh Freeze. Quote, "That's not my expectation at this point about our football program." In other words, I ain't made a decision. Now, I look at what Cohen said, and that is no vote of confidence. Would you agree?
Yeah.
He's kind of hanging him out to dry. And by the way, Auburn has been screwed twice in 2 games that I can't remember the last time one particular team got screwed that bad by the referees. I'm not saying they would have won the game, but that was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. Yeah, Cohen is saying, let's see what he does. Suppose he beats Alabama. Could it change things? Absolutely. 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 Suppose he loses the rest of the games. Is he going to be there? No. No. I think there's a whole lot of coaches with all the firing that's going on have their what? Have their future up in the air. They do. And I always feel bad for the families. Not just for the head coaches, but more importantly, honestly, the assistant coaches. Because although they make a good living, they don't make the same kind of living. And sometimes they're living out of 2 houses. I think I told you this the other day. Brian Washington, the wide receiver coach, didn't even buy a house. What does that tell you about security and coaching? Seriously. And suppose you have a house in another area and you're saying, well, this guy's making $300,000. That's a lot of money. Okay, now try to put 2 houses together and see how much extra cash you have. And it's in a profession where people make a lot of money. So the person that works on a car assembly, actually, those people made tons more than I ever made in TV. That's a bad example. But somebody's in a job for, let's say, $16 an hour. I respect that. I respect that. But you know what? You could also choose a profession that maybe you can get paid a lot higher. Plus, how about all these coaches that work at small schools and make no money at all? And some of these guys in football are just as good of coaches. They are. They are. So I think it's nice what Mitch did. He's standing by his man. And it's pretty simple. All this talk about Stoops, I've been saying this forever. You beat Texas, and can't you see Stoops saying, I told you this week that we're getting better? That's what he said. He said, I know you can throw some of these stats in my face, which I thought was a good thing to say, but I'm around these guys every day. They are united, and they're getting better. And so they beat Texas, and he can, which, by the way, ruins Texas' season. How the hell is Texas going to make the playoffs if they lose to Kentucky? Almost impossible, would you say, Jimmy?
Yeah.
They're
on
done.
paper.
Yeah. So when people say this game is more important, I love when people say this, for this team versus that team. Almost all the time, that's a bunch of crap. Almost all the time, it's really important for both teams, depending upon how you look at it. It's a big game for Texas. Arch Manning, it's a big game. He needs to play better. Guess what? It's a big game for Cutler Bowley. Cutler Bowley played much better last week, and I can see him continue to improve. How the hell is this game not as important to Cutler Bowley as it is to Arch Manning? I don't care how much money the Mannings have, and that's not being negative. It's not. This game is no more important to each one of those kids. Now, if you're slanted to Kentucky, you say it's more important than Cutler. If you're a Texas guy, you say it's more important to Arch. Okay, I get it, but it's BS. I always take the big picture. I always want Kentucky to win, but I take the big picture. This game is just important to Texas as it is to Kentucky. And you say, Cutler, you're wrong, because it could lead the way for, guess what? Stoops being fired. It could. It could. You don't think Sarkisian's he's not going to get fired? Going to take a bunch of heat if they lose to Kentucky? People in Texas think it's Kentucky. It's Kentucky. They don't respect Kentucky. The only way Kentucky's going to get more respect is by beating people. It's pretty simple. And if Kentucky has a bad year, how many people in the SEC will say, well, the 2 or 3 years that Stoops won 10 games, it was an aberration? That's what they're going to say. I'm just saying this. I'm going to be fascinated with all these openings if there'll be a bunch of coaches on a lower level who are damn good coaches who deserve an opportunity. Will they get more of an opportunity because will salaries go down? Will salaries go down? And I'll go one more. I think at some schools that will want to pay less than they might have 5 years ago, I think there'll be some coaches that they will contact or maybe won't bother contacting when they find out how much they make because they don't want to go sideways or take less money unless they need to leave. For example, when Satterfield left Louisville to go to Cincinnati, and he's done a much better job at Cincinnati than I thought, just being honest, but that's not the point. I've seen this many times. Sometimes a coach leaves because you get a whole brand new contract and you start all over again, and the crap that you were taking towards the end, guess what? It's not there. You're on the honeymoon period, and you kind of negate it and leave it. You do. It's happened many times. I'm just curious if Tyson Helton is going to get a job. He deserves a better job. He just does. Will he get it? Have no clue. Have no clue. The most obvious choice of everybody, there's two, actually. Summerall and the Vegas coach, who's won big in different places. It's a pretty simple deal. Interesting to see how it goes. I don't know. I just laughed when I saw Dan Mullen, James Franklin, Shane Beamer, John Summerall, Ryan Silverfield, Alex Golsh, Manny Diaz, Stoops, contender for the Virginia Tech job. Now, do I think agents have been called about coaches who are currently working? Yes. Yes. Do I think there's some coaches who know about it? Yes. Do I think it's tampering? Of course it is. This is not new. The only problem is, does it leak? Does it leak? And when it does, embarrassing like crazy. Embarrassing like crazy. I want to go to Matt Rule for a second. Pretty obvious that the first phone call Penn State would make would be to Matt Rule. It is. And the AD at Penn State was the AD at Temple when Matt Rule was there and did a hell of a job. He is a builder of programs. And their families are very close. They're very close. And it's his alma mater. But, Jimmy, I want you to read between the lines. I'm curious if you see the same thing that I do. I absolutely love it here. This is Matt Rule talking about Nebraska. I came to rebuild Nebraska football. That's a quote. I buy it. And by the way, Baylor in the third year, go look at how the record improved when he was there. Temple in the third year, go look at how the record improved. Now, Jimmy, they're 5-1, okay? And he did mention in his press conference, to be fair, because I looked at the transcript, he talked about wanting to win a national championship in Nebraska and all that kind of stuff. All good. All good. Jimmy, you're 5-1 now. Let's say Nebraska keeps on winning. Let's say they're, I don't know if they're playing 9 games, 10 games, whatever. Let's say they end up being 8-2, okay, or 7-3. Could he not say, I've rebuilt the program, and so now I'm going home to Penn State? I thought the way he couched this was absolutely unequivocally perfect. Matter of fact, Mark Stoops could learn some things about how he couched it. I really mean it. His denial, and he hasn't handled some of these things very well. But, Jimmy, the way you read this, are you reading it like me? He's given himself an out by saying, Now, by the way, do I believe he probably loves Nebraska? I do. It's a nice place to live. It really is. It's different. He's got a family, kids, all that kind of. I can see him liking living in Lincoln, Nebraska. The hell's wrong with Lincoln, Nebraska? And you got all the money in the world, that kind of stuff. But he did make a comment. He said, when he coached at Carolina and they ran him out of Carolina, he said, I don't care how much money you make. Me making a lot of money, and I hate this stuff, and I don't like to use the word hate, how his kids took all abuse because he sucked at Carolina and the team sucked at Carolina. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Leave kids alone. I used to defend Calipari like crazy when they go after his kids. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Leave Cal's kids alone. You want to boo Cal? Boo Cal. You want to cheer Cal? Cheer Cal. But I'm looking at this and saying, come on. He's close to the AD. Their families are close. He worked for him before. That's his school. I mean, doesn't it seem like, I'm saying red carpet Nebraska, okay, red. Doesn't it seem like the red carpet is already painted towards Penn State?
Yeah, and to make it even better, Dylan Raiola, his quarterback, also has a couple more years of eligibility left, so he could have that plan. But I think his issue was he was just too brutally honest at the press conference, because I feel like more coaches that have ties to universities feel that way. They just don't ever address it. His problem was being honest. about both sides, loving Nebraska, but also his background with Penn State.
You're correct. Now you ready for the kicker?
Mm-hmm.
He said in his own way, pony up, pony up, pony up. He just did it. So he just said if Nebraska's going to be special, they have to have the right NIL money, and they don't have it. So he did two things here. And I don't know what the NIL money, but you know what the first thing I thought of was in Nebraska? Isn't it interesting? He's complaining about his NIL money, but yet he could take Dane Key from Kentucky to go there, and he doesn't have the NIL money of the people he's competing against. Really, it's the first thing I thought of. First thing I thought of. The second thing I thought of was the obvious also, that he's going, hey, guess what? You don't pony up. There's my excuse to get the hell out of town. And guess what? We're 5-1. We're ranked in the top 25, and I'm doing a damn good job, and my kids are doing a damn good job, and you're not making this an equal job. And if you don't make an equal job, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge. I think he just challenged the Nebraska administration. You better come up with money or my blank, blank. I almost use the word with an A. You know, even though I can, Jimmy, I don't like using that word. It's radio. I'm supposed to have higher standards. I guess I don't. I think he's saying, hey, guess what? You don't pony up, and I'm gone. Because I don't believe for a second, even though, Penn State has this little construction deal they're doing with the stadium that's $700 million, okay? I don't believe for a second that Penn State is going to have a problem getting money for him versus Nebraska. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think they'll figure out a way.
Yeah. Do you also agree? He just challenged. He basically said, Nebraska, if you want me to stay, and I'm not saying I'm going to stay, but if you want me to stay, if you don't pony up, I'm gone. I think he just said that. Do you?
Oh, yeah. And he's been one over the last few years being at Nebraska with the NIL that has dropped little comments here and there about how much, it takes to get a quarterback. Oh, you need at least $1 million. You need at least that. He's been very vocal about the NIL and just kind of how Nebraska's not at that level.
Actually, you can make a case. He's in the top 5 of coaches and maybe even higher than just number 5 as far as guys being open. He's very matter. I really like him. I've always liked him. I think kids really like him because he's the kind of guy you look at and he's going, he's being straight up with me.
Yeah.
Like he's rebuilt 3 programs. Jimmy, off the top of your head, I was thinking about this before and I didn't play AI. Is there anybody else coaching today? There's probably somebody that has done 3 programs like this. There's probably some.
Yeah.
Are there 5 coaching today? I'm not saying the history of college football. Are there 5?
No. Harbaugh's the one that comes to mind with what he did at San Diego State, then Stanford. He went to the NFL. It's different, but the Niners were not good when he got there, and then he went to Michigan. He didn't rebuild them per se, so it's not the same level as Rule, but just took the program to a much higher level when he left.
Actually, I think that's a great example. Seriously, you're not giving your comment enough credence because Michigan is Michigan, okay? But they weren't Michigan. It's not like they were Kentucky. Sorry. It's not like they were Vandy, sorry, okay, but Michigan was Michigan, but they weren't being Michigan. And I'm giving you more credit for your statement than you're giving yourself for credit. Sorry, that's a better comment than you're giving yourself credit for. Shame on you. It's a better. I should have thought of Harbaugh. You did. More power to you. No, Michigan was here. They expect to be up here. So when you're here, Michigan, I'm putting my hand up. I guess anybody on YouTube watching can see it. But if you're here, that sucks for Michigan. Now. Yeah. No disrespect, but if Kentucky was here where Michigan was here, Stoops would be, oh, man, sign him for another lifetime contract. Sarcasm, sarcasm, sarcasm. No, Jimmy, that's a much better example. Sorry, because he failed at Carolina, and I'm not sure it was all on him. I think the owner, who's one of the great investors in the world, stuck his nose in and forced some things down his throat instead of trusting him. And to say, okay, I'm a builder. You want to instantly look at my track record. He's good at people. He's good at picking out players. I think the Carolina people handled him horribly, and I think he was ecstatic to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Ecstatic to get the hell out of there. Good for you, Jimmy.
The only other ones would be Kalen DeBoer, and maybe Kurt Cignetti's not there yet, but where he took James Madison and is currently doing in Indiana. But Kalen DeBoer, I think, is probably the best example. Going from Division III.
Yes, that's a really good one because what he did is Division III.
Yeah.
I'll give you a guy who's not head coaching anymore, Jerry Krill, who left New Mexico State because of his health. He walked away from jobs because of his health. But if you look at some of the programs, what he did and how he won, he always got crappy jobs and how much he improved them. He rebuilt programs. There's a number of guys if you look. The point is there aren't a lot of guys who have done it. There just aren't a lot of guys who've done it. Okay. Wow. It's 12:30. Sean Woods coming up next. I got in like nothing. What? Jimmy, you should see how long my notes are today. I know you're going to say I do this all the time. I got in almost nothing, but Sean Woods is coming up next. Well, I like what I did, but there's all kinds of other really good stuff. David Sisk, basketball at 1 o'clock. Jacob Polachek with a really good story in Aberdeen. I don't know how many people have seen it because it's behind a paywall. I don't know how many people. I'm not paying for a paywall. I'm just not going to do it. So he sent me the note and the story, and I looked at the story. Oh, this is really good. You want to come on the show? Absolutely. So that's really, really, really good. I know we're late. Ray Davis had a touchdown, and I have to say one thing. Sean, hang with me. I don't know if Sean's in the hopper or not. No?
Not yet.
Sean's late. Well, I'm late too. How many times have I said the NFL they were dumbasses by not drafting Deion Walker higher? How many times have I said it?
A lot.
A lot. And if you haven't heard me say it, it's pretty simple. He was injured. He was not as good as he was a junior year. Everybody knows that. These NFL teams have great doctors. So you check him out. And if you believe that his back was going to be okay, and there are doctors get paid a lot of money for that, I think he should have been a first-round draft choice. Top 10 like before? No. Did you see what he had yesterday? I wrote down 2 things from the Buffalo game. He had 4 tackles for loss and 1 pass defense. Now, I had the game on. I didn't see the pass defense, but just a thought. I don't know what the play was. That's terrible, but I'll look it up online later. But he had 4 tackles for loss. 4. Was he drafted in the first round? No. Was he drafted in the second round? No. Wasn't it the third round?
I believe it was the third round.
Yeah. Okay. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. But the point is, at one point he could be a top 10 pick and all that kind of stuff, and I get it. 4 tackles for loss.
Fourth round,
excuse me. Now, guess what? The NFL is also dumber than I thought. And you want to know something? Buffalo's lucky, but they're dumb. And I said the same thing about Joe Montana years ago. Unless I've lost my mind, he was a 6th-round draft choice. And Joe shouldn't have been a first-round draft choice. Now, by his performance, he should have been a first-round draft choice. By his performance, he should have been a top 10 pick. I get it. And guys sometimes don't translate to what they did in college. You can say the same about Tom Brady and some others. But human beings who can move are rarely this size of Deion Walker. And so, and you know what? And I was wrong. I thought the team that would draft him would be Philadelphia because they're really good at taking a kid. They got a couple of those Georgia kids. And one of them had a problem. Which one it was, I don't remember. I talked about it at the time. And they said, you know what? We'll bring you into our system and our environment, and you'll be just fine. And it's true. And so they got a kid where they drafted that had everything been A-okay, he would have been drafted higher. So I guessed wrong that Philadelphia would take Walker. And you can't have too many big men that size. 4 tackles for loss and 1 pass defense. What a bunch of dumbasses in the NFL. Seriously. He's healthy. I have no idea how many rookies that weigh 330 have had 4 tackles for loss in the history of the NFL. I have no idea. I don't know if you can find it, Jimmy. If not, they can't be that many. I'm talking about 4. 1, I'm sure there's hundreds of them. 2, there's got to be some. 3, are there any? 4, 330 pounders. If he really is down to 330, he's probably more. Now, how do you have a quick first step at his size? Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable. My Giants could have used him. The Bengals, I know they had Stewart, but they could have used him. It's nuts. Can you tell I'm fired up today?
A little bit.
That Virginia Tech story I laughed, and I'm going, this is so stupid. So you got the Virginia Tech story. Sean Woods is saying, can you let me in? Tell him no. We'll take a break. I know Jimmy's got it covered. You're smiling, Jimmy. And my wife smiles every day when she goes out in the garage and unhooks the hybrid, the XC60. She loves the car. I don't know about today, but we've had the car not quite, a little over 3 weeks. She hasn't used a drop of gas. Interesting. You got 41 miles on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Volvo. before you got to use gas. And eventually, when you have to use gas, you can't let it sit there forever, and that's fine. But it just shows you another way to save money and help the environment. And the car is so smooth, it's unbelievable. Jimmy, you know how many times I've driven the car since we got the lease from Quantrell?
It's still 0?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we go someplace, I don't drive very often anymore. It really, after a while, became like a 50-50 deal. You want to drive, you drive, that kind of stuff. There's no debate. I'm driving. So she says. Anyway, check out the XC60. It's unbelievable. Quantrell Auto Group. And they have this great deal, 0% interest, 0 for 36 months, 0 with the Outback, which is a wonderful car. Wonderful car. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9% for 72 months. What a deal. And the Quantrell family of dealerships, they're just wonderful people to deal with. They are. They are. That means a ton to me. Third car we've gotten from Quantrell. It's over a decade now. Quantrell family of dealerships, the right place to get your next Subaru. They promise to get you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks. Sean Woods coming up next. You better tell Sean that I'm fired up. He chomps at me. I'm going to chop his head off. What do you think about that?
I like it.
Alan Cutler. That's Sean. We have the funniest conversations even on the phone. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrell family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
And now, Fox Bottle Jam Explodes Island Game Winning Tour Specials at discount prices not far behind. Breakfast sandwiches and hot coffee are neck and neck on the outside. Great selection of snacks is holding steady while the drive-thru service is rounding out the pack. They're rounding the turn, and it's Clark's Pump and Shop for the win!
Get in the winner's circle with Clark's Pump and Shop. Stop by and pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Rolade sticks. Buy one, get one free. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Allen on the move, now flips it to Davis. He's got some space. Davis for the pylon, dives, touchdown. Bills score to open the second half as they did the first.
Ray Davis, 2 catches, 2 attempts, 19 yards, and the 16-yard touchdown. Jimmy's in?
No.
Okay, I sent you his number. Can you whisper and call him, and hopefully we don't hear it on the air?
Unfortunately not.
Okay, let's take a quick break. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 85.
simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if auto owners insurance makes sense for you.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. How do we do this, Jimmy? I don't see his pretty face. Sean, are you on the phone?
Bubs.
Why you can't do Zoom? You've done Zoom voice. This is not Jimmy's fault.
I know, but I'm in a ruckus place.
Oh, we lost you. I have a feeling we're going to not do this conversation at all. Sean, can you hear me?
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Just now, but if this starts dropping out, we'll just have to say thank you and move on. You're at school. I get it. Appreciate your time. It's all good. Let's try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So you have a different kind of knowledge of Lowe, the point guard, because you actually know the family. Can you share a little knowledge here?
I mean, I just know him. I know him real well when he was young. You know, I know his dad real well, and you know they're great friends with John Lucas. And I spent some time with John Lucas and was able to work with Dad and saw him grow up, which he's also good friends with Dirk Menefield, who's a part of that regime out there in Houston. And he comes from great basketball stock, and a lot of people have come. A lot of great players have come through that system, you know, hanging out with John Lucas and things like that. So from a talent standpoint, he's got everything, and he knows the game of basketball for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a ball in his hand since he's 3, and he's been surrounded by brilliant basketball minds to learn from, and he's a gym rat. So he's got all those kinds of qualities as a point guard, and I think he's going to be able to push the ball up quicker than Butler did last year. But I still like – this is me. I still like Butler better than him, but I haven't seen him play at Kentucky, so we're holding judgment, but I really like that he's here. Do you think that's a fair comment?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're two different players. I mean, Butler's a bulldog, you know, where Butler lacked in offensive skill as far as, you know, shooting off the bounce and being more fluent with the basketball from an offensive standpoint. You know, Butler made up for it with relentlessness, leadership qualities. Their bodies are different. Butler's a much stronger bulldog type guard. Butler reminds you of and I'm going to throw you back, Alan, you're going to be like, wow. Butler reminds me of Mookie Blaylock.
Whoa. Well, okay. Let me disagree with you because I have to. Mookie was much faster. Mookie was a better scorer. Mookie was a better shooter than Butler. Butler's defense,
like I said before, he reminds me. I didn't say he was Mookie. I say he reminds me of a Mookie Blaylock. Mookie Blaylock was a catch and shoot guy. He was not a guy that took you off the bounce and created shots. Mookie Blaylock was a big time defender with a big time body. Mookie Blaylock was a winner. But Mookie Blaylock, you know, Butler reminds me of Mookie because I thought their games were, to me, as a basketball player and being a guard, they reminded me of each other, just how they got things done. More so than, you know, Lowe is more fluent. Lowe reminds you of, I forget his name, the kid that played for the Los Angeles Lakers, played at Ohio State for a little bit. He's actually from Louisville, and he was a lefty, played with the Louisville Legends. But Lowe is very crafty, and I think he's really really good at coming off. Really good at coming off ball screens and really crafty at making plays for others. Better ball handler than both of them, can get to places better than both of them. But, you know, I haven't seen the oomph yet. And what I mean by that dog that Mookie and Butler displayed. And that's yet to be seen. And hopefully he has that because I think Kentucky needs that from the point guard spot more than anything.
Yeah, I don't know if he's got it or not, but we'll find out soon enough. I don't agree with your analogy, and I can't think of the Louisville guy is, and sometimes we're just going to disagree, and that's okay, and you're wrong, but, you know, I respect you. You know how much I respect you. You really are wrong this time.
No, I'm not wrong. That's my estimation, not yours. So you know what I'm saying?
That's fair. And you know what? Hang on. Hey, you're right. That's your opinion, which I respect, and I have my opinion, which if you don't respect, I'm going to come out there and smack you because you know how much I know hoops. And you know what? How many times have you seen this? Two coaches sit down and you're having a private conversation and you disagree on players like crazy. How often has that ever happened to you?
No, that's what makes us oil and water, baby. But sometimes oil and water makes great stories. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you and I are so good for each other.
Yeah, you drive me crazy is what it is. Oh, did I say that on the radio? I'm so sorry. By the way, Butler just signed with Atlanta, and they had him in the game at the end. And on a turnover, he gets the ball, pushes it up, drew the defense a little bit, kicked it out for the game-winning kid who made the game-winning shot. I love Butler, and I guess, Sean, my thing is I don't understand it. Like I just did this whole thing again on Dan Walker. Dan Walker as a rookie last night, Sean, had 4 tackles for loss as a rookie and 1 pass defense. And I didn't see the play. I've got to see the play. He's 330 pounds. I don't know. Did they drop him in coverage? What the heck was it, a screen? I don't know. I'm going to find out. But he went in the 4th round because he had a bad back, and he's fine now. And these doctors get paid a lot of money to see. Look, if there were some teams that thought it was lingering, you don't draft him high. I get it. But if you thought his back was going to be fine, some doctor did. I'm surprised he wasn't a late first rounder. Sean, 4 tackles for loss. That's crazy. I guess my point is, with injuries and stuff like that, I don't understand how the NBA didn't look at Butler and say with 2 healthy shoulders, he would have been a second-round draft choice. So if you think that, why the hell don't you draft him?
Well, you know, I agree with you much. You know what I'm saying? It's just everybody has their deal, but here's what I take on everything, Alan. You don't get to that level without being capable of doing some miraculous things, and he's just showing people that he's capable of doing miraculous things that you know what I'm saying, quicker than what's expected.
I buy that, but I don't know. I don't know how you don't take Butler in the 2nd round. He's with Atlanta. He's probably going to end up in the G League and probably have to work his way in. And I might be crazy, but I can see him playing the NBA forever. Who does he remind you of? Do you have Butler remind you of anybody?
Butler? LeBron Butler?
Yep.
I just told you, Mookie Blaylock.
Yeah. No, Butler, I'm talking about. Butler. I got a better name for you. Ready? Without the attitude. Patrick Beverly.
Yeah, but he ain't got they're 2 different deals. You know, Patrick's their games are not the same. They may get the same results, but their games are not the same. Their game's not similar to me. If I looked at Butler, I wouldn't say he reminds me of Patrick Beverly. He may get some things done like Patrick Beverly, but they don't. Their games, the way they move and the way they affect games are not the same in my eyes.
We disagree again. I think Patrick Beverly is much.
And I'm not taking him from Patrick Beverly. Patrick Beverly is one of the ultimate dogs in the history of the NBA. And I think Butler can be too, but they just looking at Butler and looking at Patrick Beverly, they don't resemble each other.
It's amazing
a lot, like Mookie and Butler would. You know, I'm looking at everything from the way they look, the way they move, the way they get things done. You know, I think they're more comparable to each other than say a Patrick Beverly. To me, that's just to me.
Okay, and to me, we disagree, and you're the genius, and I'm not. All good. Okay, tell me about this team. You know, I look at it this way. Now, you tell me, we'll disagree, of course, because we're having a day of total disagreement, which is a beautiful thing, by the way. And I'd rather disagree than anybody agree with me. I can't stand people agreeing with somebody for the sake of can't stand it, and you know that.
Right.
Even when you're wrong,
Right.
you know that. I love you, but you know that. Boy, I'm being really nasty getting my little shots in at you. I'm surprised you're being so nice today. This must be an aberration. Anyway, I look at this Kentucky team, tons of potential, but there's at least a dozen teams with tons of potential. You know, whether it's Duke, Louisville, St. John's, Kentucky, Houston, Purdue. Look at the top 12 teams, and there's going to be some team that surprises us, maybe 2. You know how it goes. And I think that college basketball is better and better because guys are staying in because they can't get the money and they're making too much money in college. So it's deeper and deeper in every year. But I think Kentucky is one of those teams. And so to say, hey, it's a Final Four team, maybe. Maybe they're saying the same thing in Louisville. They're saying the same thing in Houston. They're saying the same thing in Purdue. They're certainly saying the same thing in New York with St. John's. But Kentucky's back in the mix, and then we'll see what happens. Is that not hype enough for UK fans, you think?
No doubt about it. This team is good enough on paper to be very optimistic. And, the players that they brought in, it's going to come down to how well they gel, one, how well they adapt to the way Mark Pope likes to play with that significant offense, to where you got to have great basketball minds, and he plays more on field more so than just sets. So it just depends on how they gel as the season goes on, just like everyone else, because everyone else is full of transfers also.
Agree. What else do you think about Kentucky basketball? And I know you got to go back to work, so I appreciate your time and agreeing with me so little.
Well, here's the deal. Right now, and if you're just a basketball guy and a basketball junkie and you know this game, what we're going to come down to at Kentucky is point guard play and post play. Will they be physical enough to rebound the basketball and play great enough defense and protect the rim defensively? And then do they have the ultimate alpha at the point guard spot to lead them? Because every big-time team that gets to the Final Four, so on and so forth, is going to come down to how tough and relentless your guard play is. And if that point guard spot is that guy, which Lowe is in that spot, then I like their chances. If it's not, then, we're going to, be a good team. But we got to have that point guard spot has to emerge as one of the top 2 or 3 point guards in the country, because that's what allows you to get to those spots. 5 point guards in the country playing as well as they are in March, those are the teams that's going to win. And hopefully ours is going to be that coming down the stretch in March.
Okay, tell me if this is a stretch. If this kid, Lowe, has a great year, Kentucky's got a shot at doing anything. And if Lowe stinks, Kentucky's in trouble. Is that too simplistic?
It's as simple as it gets.
I'm a simple man, Sean. Don't you know that?
No doubt about it, Bubs.
How's your basketball team doing?
We're coming, man. We're getting better every single day, man. These guys coming in and working hard. I don't think there's a team around that's working as hard and has gone through some of the things that we've gone through. So hopefully it'll show on the court. We got a long ways to go. They only won 6 games last year, and just changing the mentality, which these kids are answering the bell. And if this hard work that we're putting in, ooze over on the other side where it really counts, and that's in between those lines, I like our chances every night against anyone.
How long is an average practice, would you say?
Average practice, no, 2 hours for the most part. You can't put in as much time as which I try to do as much as I possibly can in high school, because you got rules, and so you got school all day, so you can't do things in the middle of the day like you would like. But I try to do things in the morning from a conditioning standpoint and things like that, and then you practice 2 hours in the afternoon, and you try to get in as much as you can within those parameters.
Okay, so if you have a 2-hour practice, very serious question, how much of that time are you putting into defense?
Oh, there's never a day that does not start with defense, and we don't get out of that defensive realm of things until I feel like we got things done. So, that's the bread and butter of Sean Woods' success, and he's not a bad offensive guy either, of really creating and getting guys better from a skill development standpoint. And I think that's what high school is all about.
I agree. The one-on-one stuff that you do with the kids in their off periods, which is what you're doing, correct? I think that's worth its weight in gold to any kid who wants to play college ball.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
You can take a kid who might not play college ball, and I'm not saying you can get him to Kentucky. Let's not get silly. But there's a lot of schools that will, on different levels, that you can end up placing some kids in college in small levels that might not have played because of your coaching. And I believe that, by the way. And I hate to say something nice to you, but I really believe it.
Well, I think every kid that's gone through Sean Woods in Scott County from here on out is going to be prepared at any level, whatever level they are, to be successful once they get there, because they will be well coached. They will be prepared on what is expected once you get to that next level.
All right. How's your NIL budget?
Working on that, man. I think that sooner or later that's going to hit the state of Kentucky because it's hitting everywhere else. That's a juggernaut that cannot be stopped. And I think a lot of high schools now, not only prep schools are starting to do it, but are going to have to figure out ways to be prepared once that situation comes, because it's coming.
Have you had kids ask you about NIL money yet?
No. I will probably fall over and have a stroke if that happened so soon. But it's coming, though, Alan, I promise you, because some of these kids in the state of Kentucky are heading the prep school route for more reasons than that, from a development standpoint, NIL standpoint. Not only that, to get notoriety, they thinking that's the next step to get to where they're trying to get from a college basketball standpoint. But, we're creating that type of situation here at Scott County. Hopefully we can continue and be the trendsetters.
There you go. Hey, Sean, as always, appreciate you tremendously. One of the stars for Patino way back in the day. Just think of the ring you'd have if Christian later tripped over his own shoelaces. Wouldn't that have been nice, huh?
I'm going back to sleep because I'm still dreaming. So don't wake me up, Alan.
You're the best, Sean. Thanks for disagreeing with me. Thanks for telling me I'm wrong. Always love talking to you, dude. You're the best.
Hey, love you more, Bubs.
See you, Sean. He's the best.
See you.
That was a little cantankerous. Not really bad for us, would you say?
Yeah. I think it might save him if he is in the school setting. He can't really go off and say what he wants to say to you.
I really don't think he held back. Maybe you think he did. He likes to go in someplace that's private for that particular reason, by the way, which I don't blame him. And I'm telling you, I would trust what I'm saying about Ramon Carriega and Blue Lotus Health Acupuncture. Now also providing a licensed massage therapist, 859-533-0914, 859-533-0914. Was there yesterday. So relaxing. And when I leave there, I feel so much better. It's pretty interesting what this needle session does. Acupuncture, originating in ancient China. It's only been around for thousands of years. There's something to it. There's a lot to it. It can help you. It's helped me. It's helped me tremendously. 859-533-0914, Blue Lotus Health, Ramon Carriega. Please use my name. David Sisk coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313, 859-381-1313.
Great selection of snacks is holding steady while the drive-thru service is rounding out the pack. They're rounding the turn, and it's Clark's Pump and Shop for the win!
Get in the winner's circle with Clark's Pump and Shop. Stop by and pick up Sour Patch or Swedish Fish peg bags, 2 for $6, or Jack Link's Jerky, 3 1/4 ounce bags, 2 for $11. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru! The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrell family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties.
Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5. WLXG Lexington, an LM Communications broadcasting station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
The energy was off the charts. I said it walking off the court. I haven't heard that type of love in a very long time, probably since my college Kentucky days. So I think it was important for us, the NBA, to get back over here, get on your guys' homeland, and, you guys showed the love that, we expected, but, it was a whole nother level.
Devin Booker, who loves Kentucky. It'll be interesting to see if Kentucky does what a bunch of other schools have been doing, sort of name a general manager, which I always mean, and David Sisk will tell us his thought in a second, that's someone who donates a bunch of money to the school, has a little power, is happy to pick up the phone and talk to a recruit or something about why they should come to Kentucky or Duke or Carolina. It's just become a thing, and it's like a lot of stars are doing it. And I think Kentucky could have a problem who they pick, because there's a lot of guys who are wealthy. There are a lot of guys that are superstars in the NBA. There are a lot of guys who would like to do it. They have to have some conversations about this. They have to. David Sisk, basketball guru. Look at this. You trimmed your beard. You got a haircut, all for being on YouTube today, huh?
Yeah, I did. I cleaned it up for you, my friend.
Here start the lies. We haven't been on 10 seconds starting the lies. Tell everybody where you're working, what you're doing these days, my friend.
Well, fortunately, I really enjoyed my time covering Kentucky, and it was really a tough decision that I had to make about 2-3 months ago. But I'm with 247 Sports now, covering North Carolina. When I say unfortunately, I love that gig, and I'm very blessed to have it. But I missed all my friends at Kentucky, including you and all the great friends in the state that followed the team that I made over the years. And you'll never hear me say anything badly about Kentucky or their fan base. I love where I'm at, but it was bittersweet, leaving a lot of friends.
Well, none of that, but you got an improved gig. That's what everybody does.
Yes.
It's no different from somebody going from one TV station to another, one radio station to another, one newspapers, to another. It's just, normal stuff. And the fact that, you had to wrestle with it, although it was a deal you couldn't refuse, the fact that you wrestled it all shows you that you like where you were and you like the people where you were. That's, to me, that's a blessing. It's a good choice, good problem to have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, it's not as good a problem as what James Franklin has, but it was pretty good. I didn't have $50 million to show for it, but yeah, very good problem.
Amazing. About 17 days ago, in overtime, he's leading Oregon, and everything falls apart, and he gets his fanny fired. It's an amazing. Is it 15 days, 17 days, whatever the heck it is? It's more than 15 days. But if he beats Oregon, he probably wins the next 2 games, and they're probably laughing at. Yeah, you know what? If you lost that game, can you see yourself getting fired in less than 20 days? Who would be dumb enough to ask that question? These things that are happening are unbelievable. You think this could happen in basketball the way it's happening in football, with so many coaches getting fired during the middle of the year?
I don't think what happened to James Franklin puts pressure on coaches, because, like I said, they're in a win-win with a parachute package that they've got. I think it puts a lot of pressure on ADs, because I think what you're seeing are fan bases, and I know this for a fact. I'm on a couple of DM threads still with a lot of Kentucky fans on 2 particularly, and I saw their responses like, heck yeah, Penn State administration's really being proactive. They're not going to settle for mediocrity and all that stuff. And I just think, in all sports where it's really taken importantly, that They may see that the trend goes to where you've got to take steps and you've got to do it immediately. And in today's world where things change so much with NIL, and I mean, you take a look, Texas Tech went from a have not, and they're one of the haves now in the college football world and college basketball world. You can see how quickly things change. And, there's pressure for blue bloods when money's doing your talking and you've got the portal. There's pressure on blue bloods, especially to remain blue bloods.
You don't see the day where salaries are going to come down because of all the money that they have to do in these buyouts at all? Or am I thinking these presidents and ADs and the boards will be, I think, just as irresponsible as they have been?
No, because there's pressure to win. And so I think that, we've been saying it for years. Well, it's like houses. They can only go up so high. They'll go up to a certain spot and then they'll go back down. But you've not seen this happen in the housing market or the coaching searches. It just continues to go up. So it may. You bring up a good point, but I'm probably in the boat where I'd have to see it to believe it.
So you don't see some schools offering some Power Four coaches better jobs, but not offering the big kind of money that's going on now, but still a lot of money because they're so apt to desperately win the press conference when there are some coaches at lower levels that would be just as good. But I think these ADs want to cover their blank, blank, blank instead of saying, I took a chance on this guy and it didn't work out. Now we're going to fire your Fanny.
Yeah, and it sounds good. But the bottom line is if they say, hey, you know what, we could have had Coach A, B, and C or household names, but we're not going to give them the money. They didn't come, but it's just as good. We got this up-and-coming coach named David Sisk, and he's bringing his GM, Alan Cutler, with him. They'd storm the gates of the Bastille. So I don't expect to see that.
I'm sorry. Did you say instant failure?
It could. I don't know. I tell you what, I watch some of these guys, and I think I could do every bit as good a job.
I don't have any doubt that I could be a general manager in baseball. Surround myself with some really smart people. But when Ellie De La Cruz needs to be moved from shortstop to center field, pick up the phone, have a nice conversation with Tito and say, hey, this is what we have to do. You have a nice conversation with De La Cruz. You're not worried about his agent. You've led the league in errors 2 years in a row. You make some spectacular plays, but you make horrendous plays on the average plays. We got to move you. And they don't do it. It's simplistic.
Do you know who my favorite individual is in sports media outside of Alan Cutler?
Outside of me, now we're getting sarcastic. Yes, who is it, my friend David Sisk?
Mike Francesa. And I love to hear his, not necessarily the radio shows, but I love to hear his podcast where he talks Yankees and Mets because he does exactly what you're doing right there. He breaks all this down. It's a guy that's never been in a baseball job in the front office, and I'm listening to him talk about the Yankees, and I'm like, he could do the GM's good Cashman, it sounds to me like. I mean, and I enjoy it. I feel like I'm smarter after I listen to them.
Interesting. Okay, take a look at Kentucky's roster, even if you're not covering it, but I know you know the kids on the team. Is this season predicated more on how Jalen Lowe does than any other player because he is the point guard?
Well, it starts with a point guard, obviously. I think you're going to have multiple ball handlers. And I think like last year, Coach Pope has built depth in that starting rotation. Now, obviously, when injuries came toward the latter half of the SEC season, we didn't see the bench depth as much. And then when Butler gets hurt, some of the others get hurt, you can see what happened. They had multiple ball handlers last year, but in the same thought, you see how Kentucky dropped off when Butler got hurt. And then when he came back, they made kind of a charge back. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on him handling the ball. Now, in this offense, they go into the zoom looks, and obviously there's multiple ball handlers out of these things. But, just a guy getting them set. And then when it comes down to it, Kentucky, a lot of times last year, the thing that amazed me about them more than anything was the looks they would get when the shot clock would get under 5 seconds. And it was like you never saw them panic. So that comes back to who is going to have the ball in their hands, who can make the play. A lot of times that is the point guard, who's going to be on the ball. But I still think the way Coach Pope builds his teams, it's by committee.
You go to a lot of practices. I do not. You've seen a lot of coaches. I do not. Saw a drill the other day. I'm assuming a lot of teams do this when they allowed us in for pro day, which ended up being a practice, which I like better than the measurables and stuff like that do for pros, which they did a couple hours before that. One of the drills they do, they get a bunch of guys standing around cheering. Their enthusiasm in practice, I was told this was normal, that they weren't doing this for the pros, that they normally have this enthusiasm, which their enthusiasm and competitiveness was spectacular. Now, that can take you further, but that doesn't mean it's going to take you to a national championship. Okay, this is what they would do. And it didn't have to be guard on guard. They would switch up positions because, everybody gets a switch, and sometimes you're a little guy, you get caught on a big guy, that kind of stuff. And you would get the ball, you'd have a defender on you, and you had 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. And people would yell out 5, 4, 3, and you had to get the shot off. And they missed most of them. And I'm good with, I get it because there's pressure and that kind of stuff, but it puts you in this situation. I thought it was a great drill. My question to you, David Sisk, coach, a guy who knows a million coaches, a guy who's been to plenty of practices. Do most teams do that?
It's a great idea. They may do it. I've been back in the day when I went to more practices. No, you wouldn't see. I coached high school up to 2 years ago. You wouldn't see much of that in high school because in Tennessee we didn't have a shot clock. So, but I think that's a very good idea. I do know what is practiced, and that is on every level. And we did it. Even when I coached middle school, we did it. From the time you caught the ball, it had to leave your hands within 2 seconds. You either had to shoot it, pass it, or put it on the floor. And when you put it on the floor, you just weren't dribbling around. You were either setting up a shot or you were setting up a better passing angle. So we always practice that. So I can see that 5 seconds late. And you can tell Kentucky didn't panic in that situation. The guys who don't do that, we call them ball stoppers. And you'll hear that phrase a lot, and that's guys that hold the ball. You'll see teams that have good movement, and then they have the one he's got to hold. I go back years ago in the pros when Allen Iverson and Carmelo Anthony got traded, and they were on the same team, and we said this will never work because you've got 2 ball stoppers. You've got 2 dominant guys, and when they get it, they're great, they're Hall of Famers, but they're going to hold it. NFL's different than college. Mark Pope's offense is not set up on and predicated on that. It's ball movement, side to side, getting it out, making the decisions. So, yeah, I could see teams doing that now that run similar type offenses.
I loved it. And
yeah, I do too. That's a great idea.
They're not. And I'm just curious, is Pope revolutionary this way, or is this what a lot of teams are doing? I don't know. I'd like to know, and I thought you would have the answer.
Well, like I said, what I've coached myself is different. But like I said, for years, we taught and coached and practiced and repped every day. The ball has to get out of your hands in 2 seconds. So
I think I think a lot of teams do that.
Yeah. So, and what I'm saying is the 5 second late in the clock, that's very good, but you're making decisions based on timing. So I feel like that kind of builds off that. So I would guess, yes. I would guess you probably do see a lot of that.
What trend do you see this year in college basketball that we haven't seen? What will be different? What will be unusual? Or it's just going to be another year of college basketball, and I'm excited about it because I think there's more good teams. Kentucky's playing like 12 top 25 teams. I think that's great. I can't stand the cupcake games. I would basically eliminate all cupcake games. And okay, if you have to, a couple. But and it's no disrespect to Eastern Kentucky or Moorhead, really none. If you're going to play some lower levels, play the in-state schools instead of out-of-state. But I would want a tough game basically every single night. You're not going to win as many games, but you're going to be so ready for the NCAA tournament. It's not even funny. And I think it helps in recruiting. Kids want to play good games. They don't want to play a game where it's 100-52, except for the guy who's 12th on the team who gets to play.
Building on that, I've proposed since the 1990s that the NCAA get rid of leagues. And they set it up like European soccer, where you have the premier. You can have teams demoted during the season. You can have teams promoted. So what you would do in basketball would be more than football. In football, I would put maybe the top 40 teams in a league and schedule the first half of the season. Your worst teams could drop out of that. You could have a second tier. Your best teams in that move up, and you do that midway through the season. In basketball, probably your top 100 teams, because basically, if you go to Ken Palm and something like that, all your Power 4 teams and your best mid-majors are going to be in the top 100. So you could do that. So I would say, based on, if you kept your leagues, based on an NCAA analytic, you could not schedule a team outside of your top 100. Now, I understand what coaches are doing, because especially nowadays, and here would be my argument if I was a head coach, and that is, look, we got so many guys in the transfer portal that we're getting out of here now. We're taking whole new rosters. We've got to go into these – we've got to have some of these games just to build. So I understand that, and I know where they're going with that. We've got to get this stuff worked out. You just can't, if you're Kentucky, you wouldn't be able to step in with a whole new roster and play Duke, Kansas, and Gonzaga right off the bat. And they do play a healthy schedule, but I think for the fans' sake, and that it would make the game in multiple sports more interesting.
You're the commissioner. Anything else you would change? That's interesting. You got me thinking about that. I think there'd be too many. Okay, I really like your idea. I think fans wouldn't understand it. The average fan, the geeky fan, would understand it. I'm not talking down to anybody, but you get 24,000 people at Rupp, and not a lot of people would know that, and a lot of people would know it very, very well. And I don't know if that would sell. That's me, but it's an interesting idea.
Well, I just look. I've thought about it more with football than basketball. And the reason is you know as well as I do, I don't need to watch Alabama play Mercer and Georgia play the Citadel. And you've got these games that are built, so you're basically wasting 4 weeks in the college football season that are just glorified scrimmages that don't even count. And then and I've said a lot of these really good teams, you take an Ohio State, and Ohio State basically only has to get up for 2 or 3 games a year. That's it. And a lot of these teams are in that boat, and I just don't feel like it should be like that. I just think it ought to be a lot more competitive through the season. And I think everybody ought to be on the same playing field as far as schedule goes. I mean, when I look at one team and they're ranked and they play one top 25 team all year, and you've got another team that's ranked and they play 7 or 8 top 25 teams all year, that's not balance. And I've heard Nick Saban, I know I'm going to football a lot here, but I've heard Nick Saban say that they should come up with a system because of schedules where losses don't count against you. And I don't know how you do that unless you balance the schedules out. Yeah, same with basketball.
I don't know how you do that either. That doesn't make any sense. Huh.
You could take North Carolina last year in basketball. Okay, I'll give you this one. North Carolina's really was behind the 8 ball in December. They played a murderer's row schedule. They had Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Michigan State. All these were in a row, and they had Kansas, and they had this very tough schedule early, and they lost these games. Well, they got into the ACC, and the ACC was so bad. If they couldn't beat Duke or Clemson, they had no chance to get quality Tier 1 wins because nobody else in the league was a Tier 1. So they won 6 games in a row at the end of the year, and they're playing the dregs of college basketball society. I mean, the teams in the ACC that they were playing at the end were horrible, and North Carolina fans would tell you that, but they had no chance to build their resume. All it was, like I said, they got behind the 8 ball early, and their schedule wasn't good enough to dig out. And then I watch, the SEC teams, and every night they're playing a top 20, top 25 team every night. So there's got to be some way to balance this out.
I didn't think North Carolina deserved to be in the tournament last year. I said it. I believed it. And you know what? You should incentivize teams to play tougher schedules. Fans want it. Players want it. And you know what? You play a tough schedule, so what? You got to win some of the games.
Well,
some of the games.
Here was the thing. North Carolina played a brutal non-conference schedule. So I don't hold that against them, but they had an ACC problem. The ACC was the problem because that league was so bad. So that's one reason I'm saying get rid of the leagues and put everybody in together, because the ACC's and they're 4 new coaches. Maybe it'll improve, but for the last couple of years, they've had a bad brand issue in every sport.
You got a national champion? Dumb question.
In basketball?
Yes, sir. I said it was a dumb question. It's not even Thanksgiving.
I know. And polls are hard enough early. Florida. I see Houston on top of some polls, and it's been Houston, and it's been Purdue, and it's been Florida. In most of these, I think it's hard to repeat. I don't know how much confidence I have in Purdue once they get into March to just go through, although they did get to the national championship game 2 years ago, but that was an outlier. Houston, they get closer and closer and closer. And I'll just say this. I would like to see Kevin Sampson win a national championship. I really would. He got close last year. I'd like to see him win one. I like the way they play.
Let's put it this way. If Kentucky can't win, I couldn't agree with you more. I think he's a great human being who's developed tremendously as a coach. And I like the fact when he went through some stuff that was his fault and went to the NBA as an assistant coach, when he came back, he said how much he learned by being an assistant coach in the NBA and how the NBA style taught him so much basketball. And I think he's evolved into a great people person who holds kids accountable. And
yeah, he does.
They have an incredibly tough practice. I don't know who's got the most physical practice, and I don't think he's abusive. I'm not hinting at that. I want to make that perfectly clear. But his guys dive on the floor. His guys do all kinds of stuff, and his guys love him. They love him. And I like the last thing he said in an interview I saw about 3-4 weeks ago. He said, I will live for my players, but the players shouldn't live for me. I thought that was a great comment, just a great comment. And his staff is really good as well.
Yeah, and he brings in players that he knows are going to be a fit. Even through recruiting, and you look, they've gotten better and better in high school recruiting. So they still bring in players through the portal, but they do more in high school now than they've ever done. And they're getting better players than they've ever gotten. I mean, they can go head to head with Kentucky and Duke and North Carolina and Kansas and all these schools and get players. But it's his kind of guys. You were talking about things that he said. He said something one time that he loved, and I complimented him on it when I saw him at an AU tournament. Thought it was very interesting. He said, in all my years of coaching, I have never tried to build confidence in a shooter. I have never told a kid, hey, your shot's looking good. Not one kid. He says, because what happens is, he says, if you try to build confidence in guys who are not good shooters, then you got the wrong people taking shots, and it kills teams. And he said, so I do not build shooting confidence. And I said, that was great, especially as a high school coach. I told him, I said, I love that. And he said, I had a mom call me the next day, and she was mad about that. And she said, I think you're talking about my son. And he said, well, if you don't like it, I was. And if you don't like it, he said, take him somewhere else. So I thought that was great.
I like what he said. You can take him somewhere else. Like, you're not going to tell me how to run my program. David says, tell everybody how to reach you, what you do, all that good stuff. Always appreciate your time, pal.
Well, I'm on the 247 network, and I am Coach David Sisk at Twitter. And, man, if you're Kentucky fans out there, be good to me on Twitter. I'm not turned on you. I promise. I am not the enemy of the state. So stick with me.
I follow you, and I get your alerts, but I get too many alerts, so you miss stuff. You have to miss stuff on Twitter. Are Kentucky fans giving you crap?
No, I I do these film reviews, and you saw me do them at Kentucky.
Yeah.
So I'm doing them player reviews. We have to do a player each week for North Carolina, and I've done players, and nobody said a word, but I did Caleb Wilson this week, man, and people are I've gotten some comments because he is a good player, and I know Kentucky was in a hunt for him too. So they've been good. They've not been personal. So I'm just begging for mercy on here while I've got the stage.
That's sorry for stepping in. That's all good. If it's teasing, it's good. It's when it's personal. It's a red flag.
Yeah, then they've not gotten there. It's good natured.
All right, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you. Even though you're not covering Kentucky, maybe we can still chat about a month down the road.
Hey, and on any sport, man, I watch them all. I love them all.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, dude.
Notice I kept trying to go to football today.
I did, and I wonder, you have not done that with me, and I was wondering where you were going, and I didn't figure it out. I'll be quicker next time. Can't be any slower.
Well, right now with basketball, and I'm getting ready to hang up. I'm sorry, but right now with basketball, there's so much uncertainty, and we're right in the middle of football season, so we're figuring things out.
It's fair. Thank you, David. Bless you, brother.
Thanks, Alan.
Talk to you, man. He's really good. That's interesting. Jimmy, I didn't see the sign. He was gearing me towards football, and I kept on gearing him back to basketball.
Yeah, I don't think in all the times you've had him on, probably close to 10 times, I don't think you guys have ever talked football.
No. Question. I see that the Texas UK odds, you put it on your sheet.
Mm-hmm.
7 o'clock, Texas favored by 12.5.
Yeah, it was 13.5.
That I knew. Okay, and that's cool. But with Texas's defense, are you surprised it's not higher? Obviously be higher if they're playing in Texas.
I did. I thought it would be closer to like a 14.5, like a 2-touchdown game is what I was thinking.
I was thinking 14.5 just to make it more. But I don't figure these things out. It's just a guess. I just kind of looked at it and went, interesting. It's a huge game for both teams. Seriously. Huge game for both teams. And plus, as we said earlier, Mitch Barnhart came out to the Herald Leader, and he gave a vote of support for Mark Stoops. Big vote of support for Mark Stoops. Sounds good. Thank you, David. Nice text. I enjoyed it too. Appreciate you back, brother. Jacob Polachek coming up next. Interesting. That vote of confidence. Well, already commented. I can't stop thinking about it. Really, because I think it's the right thing to do. I don't think it's going to change people's opinions. I think Mitch is smart enough to know it's not going to change people's opinions. But how the team does the rest of the year, that'll kind of figure out itself. And that'll take care of itself. It absolutely, unequivocally will. And I'll tell you who can take care of you. Terry Page, 859-373-0578. 859-373-0578. Great licensed massage therapist, a healer. In Butler, Kentucky, first 2 days of the week. And I know we have folks listening in the Cincinnati area, so check it out. It's not a long drive from Cincy. And she's got some folks who drive down from the Cincy area now. And Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in Lexington. She's been great for me. And naturalhealingandpainrelief.com. That's her site, naturalhealingandpainrelief.com. You can sign up for a 10-minute phone call, free, of course, and then tell her your needs and see how she says she can help you. She's been special for me. Terry Page, 859-373-0578. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties.
Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Boo! Brett, what are you doing?
I'm getting ready for Halloween.
Well, it looks like your costume's ready, but what about your candy?
Well, you know Dad and Uncle Rick. At Clark's Pep and Shop, we have some spooky deals. All month long, you can pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Rolade sticks, buy one, get one free.
No tricks, all treats this October. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Appreciate Sean Woods. Appreciate David Sisk. And now let's go to a young reporter who has a really good story up, Jacob Polachek. Jacob, how are you from KSR? Welcome, dude.
Thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
So this is a really interesting story, and it's behind a paywall, and I'm not spending money on a paywall. I get it. Everybody's got to make money. It is what it is. But this is a really interesting story about Denzel Aberdeen and how he's not only given funds back to his high school, but he's acted sort of like as a coach and a mentor. This is a college kid at Dr. Phillips High. Explain what he's done financially and explain what he's done to help his kids out. I think this is a lovely story that people need to know about, and good for you.
Yeah, so Kentucky guard Denzel Aberdeen, he attended Dr. Phillips High School in Orlando, Florida. He was there from his sophomore year to his senior year, and in mid-September, the boys basketball program was hosting a fundraiser, reaching out to alumni and parents to get donation for travel costs, film costs, and gear costs for the boys basketball team. And Ben Witherspoon, their head coach, said he shot Denzel a text, was like, "Hey, we'd love to have you contribute." And he said he woke up the next morning to find thousands of dollars donated by Denzel to finish off the goal. They had a page over on their website. It looked like Denzel donated about $2,800 and left a message, "Go win it this year, boys," with the trophy emoji. So yeah, it was a really nice gesture from Denzel. And then I talked to his high school coach just about how he's given back to that community over at Dr. Phillips, coming in, talking to the players. And he's really been a mentor to their point guard, Josiah Gillard, for this season.
Not a lot of college kids are doing it, and I've been impressed how many college kids who have NIL money who are actually giving it away, not all of it, but giving anything away to help out causes and schools and stuff like that. There's a lot of players doing it. Denzel Aberdeen isn't the only one, but anytime I find out about this kind of thing, it's your story. Congrats to you. I think this is wonderful. He's helping financially. And how would you like to be a point guard at Dr. Phillips High and Aberdeen comes to talk to you? I mean, my goodness, what a great resource.
Yeah, absolutely. Fresh off a national title, gets to talk about what it was like to play in March Madness, win it all. And then I asked for a comment from Aberdeen, but Aberdeen decided, he said, I want to let my actions speak for themselves. So he didn't want all the publicity about it. It just was a good gesture from him. And I'm sure all those players at Dr. Phillips really appreciate the charity and also just having him be there and give his expertise.
Would you say that's unusually humble, or were you surprised at his response, or you haven't been around him enough to know?
I wasn't, from what I've heard, that's not an atypical response from him.
Interesting.
But I haven't been around him to really say. But it doesn't surprise me that, based on talking to over the summer, I interviewed his dad, I interviewed his high school coach previously, and just people around him, and he just, from all indications, a very selfless individual, and so that doesn't surprise me that he made that gesture.
Interesting. Good story. I invite everybody to read it. Find a way to read it. Let me throw you this nice story by John Hale. He's got Mitch Barnhart is the headline. Still confident Mark Stoops can return Kentucky to glory. And here's the quote in the Herald Leader. Make no mistake about it. We want success. And he talked at Tuesday's Champion Blue Board of Governors meeting. Smart place to go get Mitch, since Mitch doesn't like talking to the media, but if he's out in public, he gets stuck doing it. And I wonder if he thinks stuck doing it is the proper way. That's the feeling I get. And he can correct me, but that's the feeling a lot of people in the media get. Anyway, he says we want to work through it. We've worked through these things before. I think if people look at the history, what we've done in Kentucky, we've always found our way through. We've worked through difficult moments. Other quote, if everyone will reflect on the program that Stoops inherited and where he took us 8 straight years, then the changes in the world of college athletics occurred, and it was a struggle for us for a couple of years just to try to find our way. I like that honesty. And so that was the middle part. Everyone was pretty much on board. Everyone was fine. And now we're having to adjust to some changes in college athletics and work our way through it. All quotes. Sounds like Stoops is his guy. He's supporting him. And I don't know if something changes. Do they lose the rest of the games this season? And you know what? They beat Texas on Saturday. And Stoops had a comment that the team is getting better, that they are united. He said that people can throw stats in his face. He says he gets it, but I'm around the team every day, and I'm telling you they're getting better. So, and if they win, if he wants to throw out the media all fair. Hey, you guys didn't have patience with us, whatever. I would say, okay, you're right. You're right. But also look at the last couple of years, and there's a reason why people feel this way. But if they beat Texas and he wants to slam the media, God bless, let him do it. So it's all part of love and war, and not war, but, you know, the game of media between football and athletics. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I think that Mitch Barnhart kind of has to have that vote of confidence when there's close to $40 million on the line. It's kind of an expected response from him, but at the same time, it all depends on what happens on the field. And if it continues going down this direction, something has to change because the fans are not going to be there.
Yeah, and that's the best way for somebody to get fired. Yet, on the other hand, I read this quote in my monologue. Auburn AD John Cohen, former UK baseball coach, did a hell of a job as a baseball coach here, on potentially firing head coach Hugh Freeze. Quote, that's not my expectation at this point about our football program, end of quote. That doesn't seem to be a really good vote of confidence. That sounds like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And let's see how we play. If we play good, okay. And if we play bad, my expectations might change. I thought that was egregiously wishy-washy on purpose. John Cohen's a smart man. He chooses his words. He's good at this kind of thing. I think that was 0 vote of confidence. Jacob, you agree or no?
Yeah, I think it's also tough because it's the middle of October. It's a lot easier to give a little wishy-washy statement in October than it is after the season when you can really make some of those tough decisions. So I think that, it's right now you kind of have to play that waiting game in the middle of the season, and it's tough to make that tough decision when you still have 7 games left or whatever it is.
Well, I look at it this way. Offensively speaking, since the beginning of the 2024 season, Kentucky against the power conference team has not scored more than 2 touchdowns on offense. That really, you can give me all the reasons in the world, and I don't care. At a certain point, it's the bottom line. And at a certain point, that really stinks. Is that too harsh or no?
No, I completely agree. And I think that you can't just put it on the offensive coordinator when there's been this carousel of offensive coordinators in and out without real change.
Do you have any hope for them winning more than 1 game the rest of the year?
Well, I made my season prediction before the season started. I said they were going to lose every SEC game, and I said they were going to beat Louisville at the end of the year. I've gotten every game right so far. I might as well stick with that prediction, whether or not I'm confident in it.
Okay, that's fair. And I said they would go to a bowl game, and look how wrong I'm going to look. Jacob, tell everybody how to read you, all the good stuff you do. It's a really nice story, dude. You and your bosses should be proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, you can find my work over on ksrplus.com, and then I'll be sharing all my stories over on X at PolachekKSR.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate you joining me.
Well, thank you.
See you, man. Jimmy, it's a really nice story. Really is. College kid, and if somebody don't say, well, he's making hundreds of thousands of dollars, it might even be more than that. I've heard figures. I'm not saying anything because I'm not sure it's right. So therefore, let's put it this way. He's making more than you and I are 10 times over and then some. And you know what? I don't begrudge him. More power to him. But that doesn't mean anybody has to do what he wants to do, and to not just give money, but to give time and to mentor kids at Dr. Phillips High School, where he's from. The only word that comes to my mind is absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, because think of how many other players around the country in the hundreds some odd teams of all the different sports. So you're saying, okay, well, why isn't every player doing that? Because it takes a special player to do that. All these other guys are college-age kids. They're like, this is my money. If I make it to the league and make big, big money, then I'll think about donating back to my high school. But I think it's awesome, and I hope he starts a trend of more of these guys that just graduated doing NIL now, giving back to the school. And like you said, not just money, but giving time to go with it. That takes a special person, even if you are a multimillionaire.
And I don't begrudge any player that doesn't do it.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Right, you don't have to. My thing is, these kids, and this is not pushing out at young people this age, because how many times do you hear stories about somebody wins the lottery, they're 45 years old, and they're broke? Yeah. How many years before they're broke? And so when people say, well, young people can't handle the money, I'm going, guess what? A lot of adults can't either. I will really defend young people when it comes to stuff like that. My thing is some of these young people getting a lot of money, that they get some advice. Tax advice, putting money away advice, because in most cases, this is the most money they're ever going to make the rest of their lives. And if you can invest it conservatively and wisely, it doesn't mean you can retire tomorrow, but you might be able to retire when you're 50 instead of like 65 or something like that. And I know I'm assuming Pope is good at this, and I don't know, so I'm not speaking either way. Cal was good at it. I'm assuming Pope brings in people to talk to his kids. And now with the women making money, it wouldn't surprise me if Kenny Brooks is doing the same thing. And they should, and they owe it to the players and stuff like that. Because I don't expect a 20-year-old to know what to do with this kind of money. And I don't expect a 40-year-old, if you're just running into money, know what to do with it either. Get an education. I think it's part of a coach's job to help them, and a lot of coaches are. And if somebody at UK wants to text me, I'm assuming, aren't you, that Pope has done this kind of thing? I'm assuming that Kenny has done it too, and I'm assuming that Stoops has done it as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they should have been doing it before all the NIL and everything, but now especially, I feel like all these schools, you have to.
Are you suggesting that some of the players were getting money under the table, should have been getting advice as to handle that money that might have been illegal, that could have gotten you in NCAA trouble, that many schools, whether the schools gave it, wink, wink, no, or boosters gave it, wink, wink, no? You're suggesting they should have helped them when they were getting money illegally? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, I mean, I won't confirm or deny any of that, but even when you graduate and you're just working a normal 9 to 5, it would be helpful for every college student to know what to do, because most of you, when you graduate, just go. Then no one tells you how to save money. You had to look up all that stuff on your own.
Yeah, you need help. I've said this for years. What high school has a class for kids to learn how to balance a checkbook? I've never understood that. Never understood that. I can do numbers in my head, and the first time I had a checkbook, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I don't think I was a Lone Ranger. I quickly learned, by the way. You make a mistake, and guess what you do? You quickly learn.
Yep.
Let's take a short break. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties.
Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Great selection of snacks is holding steady while the drive-thru service is rounding out the pack. They're rounding the turn, and it's Clark's Pump and Shop for the win!
Get in the winner's circle with Clark's Pump and Shop. Stop by and pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Rolade sticks, buy one, get one free. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
What I love about them is they do have a very much of a steady mindset. They're working hard every day. You know, I think it's a hard-working group. You know, I don't know. That's for you to put it. You know, you know what we want our football teams to look like, what I want them to look like each and every year. I feel like this team very much is very united and working extremely hard and very, very much passionate about getting better each and every day. And if we stay that way, then, you know, we'll see the results eventually.
We'll see the results eventually. That is Mark Stoops. He says the team is united. He says they're working hard. And he says if you keep on doing it, we'll get results. That's what he believes. I hope he's right. I hope he then shoves it at everybody for not being positive. Things can change. Look, if Cutler can continue to improve, and I think he can. I think he can. Obviously, everybody around him's got to do a better job. And wideouts need to get open more. And hopefully you can see a little DJ Miller and Quisenberry, two of the freshmen who seem to have so much promise, and we haven't seen them yet enough as far as I'm concerned. Maybe some of these freshmen can help. We shall see. Speaking of Cutler, this is clip number 2. Stoops talking about Cutler.
I saw Cutler over the weekend, and you know he knows he got better last week, and we have to carry that forward. We're playing a very talented, very good team, and a very good defensive team, but we have to control the things we can control. And you know he has a very good presence about him. He has a lot of confidence. He knows with hard work, you know, he'll see the results.
With hard work, he'll see the results. Well, I don't doubt his hard work. I don't doubt his desire. I don't doubt any of that at all. And so I don't think it'd be the biggest upset in the world if Kentucky would beat Texas. I don't. I just wouldn't bet money on it, and they're going to have to show me. And that's okay. It really is okay. Desire is a funny thing. One of the fascinating things that I want to do Saturday night is, Jimmy, when I get to the press box, is look out across the field on the other side. How many students will show up? I'm going to guess that student attendance will be horrendous, and I hope I'm wrong. And it hasn't been that good. You know, one of the things that's really stuck out to me, I've watched some games where it was at Nebraska and other places like that, and the crowds are loud and they're ferocious. You know, the Missouri game, I get part of their stadium they're obviously working on in one of the end zones, but the rest of it is packed and people are so enthusiastic. And if you think I'm ripping Kentucky fans, I am not. I've always said this, that Kentucky fans are better than advertised because they have suffered through so many losing seasons since Bear Bryant left. There's only been small pockets of success. Part of that small pocket of success is Mark Stoops. Part of it is Rich Brooks. Part of it is Frank Kersey. I mean, there's no question about that. But it's been pockets. And so I have always thought, especially in the early days, Jimmy, when I was here, and it's November, and it's cold, and the place then called Commonwealth Stadium would not be filled. And those that would complain about it, I would say, exactly the opposite. There's a lot of UK fans who are loyal, freezing their you-know-what off in the stands, and they're at least showing up. And so I'm not saying it's sad. I'm saying I wish the attendance here was to the point where people wanted to go the way they want to go to Nebraska, the way they now want to go to Missouri, the way they now want to go to Indiana. And I got to tell you, the support of Indiana now is unbelievable. But the truth is their support sucked forever. Jimmy, I covered a lot of games up in Indiana and Bloomington, and a lot of empty seats, and there was a lot of blue. And what Cignetti has done there is one of the great turnaround jobs literally in the last 40 years in college football. There's no question it is. But to me, if you could turn it around here, I think the support would be that way. I'm going to be curious as to how many college kids. And I wonder, Jimmy, I know where you got to go. I wonder if you think college kids will show up because it's at night, they've already been partying, and they'll show up and they'll be loud. I wonder.
I think that and Arch coming in with Texas. I think that also plays a part. I think a lot of the students want to watch Arch in person, and just to say we are there. Maybe you want to heckle the guys on Texas while they're coming on the field, whatever it is. But because it's Arch Manning, I think that will uptick the attendance a little bit.
Well, my guess was the obvious. So many guessed the same thing. Had, let's say, Texas been undefeated going into Saturday night, there'd been a whole lot of folks from Texas showing up. I bet there's some, but I bet it's not the same thing. Jimmy, as always, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate Jacob Polachek. Really nice story in Aberdeen. I mean, giving back to his high school financially and with his time. It's beautiful. It's a really beautiful story. Thank you to David Sisk. Thank you to Sean Woods. He's not often wrong as much as he was today. That's a cheap shot because I get the last words. That's not really fair, is it?
No, but it's your show.
Right. Amen. Brad Taylor coming up next. He's not listening now because he's at school, but odds are somebody will tell him, and that's exactly what I want to happen. Brad Taylor coming up next. Matthew and Jimmy at 10. I'll be back at noon. Have yourself a blessed day.